This is Smooth 98.1. We are your love music, love live station, smoothest dial on Lagos Radio. It is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. on a feel good Friday morning. It's that time to get into the newspapers, the stories, the headlines that are making the rounds. You are most welcome to Freshly Pressed. My name is Ayokunmi, and it is going to be an amazing time as it always is because we got the stories lined up for you. Analysis is on the way. And we look forward to you sharing your messages with us, your thoughts, your opinions. They all matter, and we love to hear from you each and every single day. Thank you for always taking the time out to join us on the show. All right. Like I said, it's a feel good Friday morning, and you know the lineup is never complete if I don't have with me Joseph Obari and, of course, AB Bozimo on the call. Very good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you once again on a Friday morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, listeners. Abi, good morning. Good to see you again here.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Joseph. And good morning to all of the wonderful listeners in Lagos.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Maybe I was thinking maybe the spirits had decided to mess with your internet connection, but great to have you join us at this time. We're just kicking things off, and hey, we have a number of things, like I said, that we need to talk about this morning. And I'm going to start with you, AB. Actually, I know that we probably will be sounding like broken records talking about this, but it's very important to bring it to the notice of all the good people out there. Heading into the Vanguard, where it says the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has warned that 1,249 communities across 176 local government areas in 33 states and the FCT fall within the high flood risk areas in 2025. Now, this warning was issued during the official presentation of the 2025 annual flood outlook by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev in Abuja. Now, according to the forecast, an additional 2,187 communities in 293 local government areas across 31 states and the FCT are expected to experience a moderate flood risk this year. AB, like I said, not to sound like a broken record, but these are updates and forecasts that we hear on a year-to-year basis. Now, the question is, what exactly are we going to use this information for? What exactly is going to happen, be put in place in order to make sure that these communities, a large number of communities, I might add, are not overtly affected by the expected rainfall and or flooding?
Now, we'll
Maybe.
start by saying it's a good thing that the hydrological services, yes, it's a good thing that the hydrological services have studied the risk of flood and are putting out these warnings. Hopefully, I mean, we just hear of a list of communities. I hope that there will be a detailed list to back up this headline where they have actually identified the communities or the areas that should watch out, something along the river, so and so, any community along the river, so and so. That's a more useful way to say it. But it's clear that flooding is a universal thing. It happens in Nigeria, and how do the communities or how do the countries react to it? We've always talked about how, because of the failures of government, almost every Nigerian has become their own local and indeed state government. Unfortunately, with things like flooding, you can't do it alone. There is no way to isolate yourself
Uh,
the way you
AB, you should try, AB, you should try
isolate
turning off your video. I think that should help with the
yourself
connectivity.
with your security fencing, with your generator, with your borehole. Flooding doesn't respect boundaries. And that is one of the efficiency or otherwise now. The right thing to do, yes. So it is that when services at the state and local government, there should be proactive measures taken. Identify high risk areas, identify contingency plans and put them in place, publicize them so that when this flooding inevitably comes, people know what to do and are prepared. But like you said, it's a broken record because we've had so many years of flooding coming and it comes to devastate people and nothing is even done. What do we do to improve the flood resilience of our communities? Do we create routes where people can manage during the worst of the season? Do we create places where they can be evacuated to? Do we stockpile goods, food, sleeping gear? Do we create or identify maybe school premises that can be used in this kind of devastating conditions? We don't seem to do those proactive things. And worse, when flooding comes, are we in a position to rescue people? We've seen all those videos where you see soldiers in other parts of the world going to go and rescue people on canoes and boats and rafts. In Nigeria, soldiers are busy fighting Lakaurua, whatever their name is. And so maybe they are otherwise occupied. But this is a good warning. The question is, what do we do with this information? Individuals, critical. I hope that the state governments will take their part of the responsibility and try and ensure that the people are not affected in such a bad way. But it's a warning, it's being sounded in time, and with the rains I've been seeing recently, it could be pretty bad this year.
The rains definitely have decided to show. It's rained a couple of days this past week here in Lagos, so clearly we are getting into that zone. Hey, like you said, what we do with the information at the end of the day is the most important thing. It's just going to be put out there and nothing will happen. We'll just speak about it and then, well, we'll wait till the rain comes, the flooding happens, and rinse and repeat as we do every year. We need to stop doing things the way we do them. Let's change things up for once. Let's surprise ourselves for once and do things completely differently. The WhatsApp number is 0809 to share your messages and your thoughts. We're also on YouTube, streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can drop your comments in the chat box there, and I'll take them as the show gets along. All right, let's get back into stories and talking about matters of security and or insecurity. Like I say, depending on what side of the fence you are sitting on. Joseph, let's talk about this one. It's coming out of the Guardian. Now, we've talked about security matters in the last couple of days or thereabouts, from different perspectives. Now, the Yobe State government has announced its readiness to reintegrate ex-members of Boko Haram who have undergone the de-radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration DRR program under Operation Safe Corridor, OPSC. Now, Governor Maimala Buni made this known on Thursday in Damaturu when he received the delegation of OPSC led by General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff. And Buni, who was represented actually by his deputy, Alhaji Idi Gubana, described the visit as an opportunity for strategic engagement and collaboration between the state and the security forces. Now, Joseph, this is not a new thing. It's been talked about before. It's been implemented at different points. Now people will have different perspectives on this. Saying, "Oh, why are these terrorists being forgiven? Why are they being brought back into society, and so on and so forth?" Something was said in that story about some of these people probably being conscripted against their will. Spare thoughts for child soldiers in other countries, but two different things entirely. But my point here is that bearing in mind the way we've been doing things when it comes to insecurity, I mean, would you say that this is probably an approach to be considered long term or not?
I mean, the truth simply is that de-radicalization is not a new thing. I mean, it's been used in other parts of the world where you have had this kind of asymmetrical warfare facing countries. So reintegration, when it is managed very well and is done professionally, can really achieve positive results. And just like the Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, said during that visit, there are some of them who are conscripted against their will and made to fight. And if you leave those individuals who more or less have gone in there and tired of whatever it was, and they are able to come out, floating, then of course they have been exposed to violence. They are now trained in weapon handling and all those kind of things. So they become a danger to society if they are not well managed. And so if this program is managed properly and sincerely, and the funding is done, then it can achieve the result. I think this visit aimed to achieve is to have that handshake with the important completion of that whole process, and which is the state accepting those people in and supporting in taking them and rehabilitating them. So what does it entail? Can they get them a means of livelihood? Can they be settled? What kind of program can the state come up with? So it's important that that end is achieved. Otherwise, the consequences could be very grave and dire for the society as a whole. If you have somebody who now knows how to dismantle and assemble AK-47 in minutes, now living with you, and he's not engaged, he does the ungiven job, the option left to him is either to go back into that life, or he takes or find the arms and then starts robbing people, or uh, becoming a nuisance to the society. And then not to talk about their mental health as well. And so, but the radicalization program actually takes care of most of those other psychological parts, because most of what they do in the process of the radicalization is to address their thought processes, their kind of more so like rebooting their whole thinking through use of psychology and all kinds of methods. So, and then of course, there is a physical part of it, training and all those kind of things. So it's a holistic thing. And that handshake with the states where these things are actually prevalent, the insecurity is most serious, to be able to play that role effectively. And it's not left entirely to the federal government or the military to do.
Okay, just before we leave this particular story, just to maybe put you on the spot a little bit here. I mean, looking at how peculiar Nigeria is, do you think that this particular approach can be effectively managed, bearing in mind the flip side of it that you mentioned, if it's not done the right way?
Well, it's just to give them the benefits of the doubt. This has been going on. The radicalization program has been going on for years, and quite a number of people have already been reintegrated into communities. And there have been only very few cases where some of those people had gone back. So if you look at the success rate to the failures that have arisen out of this whole program, then I think it has achieved a major success. What people have also always criticized is that the energy and time and support given to these people who have caused violence and caused death to people is not equally given to those who are victims of their actions. For example, what's been done to displaced persons. The IDP camps have become another story altogether. Crimes and all kinds of things, corruption, abuses, sexual abuses, and all kinds of things have been woven around the IDPs. So rehabilitation, what about the rehabilitation of the people or who are impacted? But again, it then goes back to the states. What are the states doing for their people who have found themselves displaced, who are suffering from all of this? So they shouldn't be one. It shouldn't be one side. It shouldn't be that, oh, you now start, oh, we have now this pampered group of people. We are going to be giving them money. We are going to be, spending money on them. We are going to be doing this.
Right.
Just like you say, the Nigerian way, people find a new thing that becomes a conduit for them to be corrupt. So at the end of the day, I think I will give them the benefit of the doubt and believe that they are sincere, because the seriousness of failure is grave even for the military. Yeah, so if they don't execute this with all honesty and sincerity, then of course they are just shooting themselves in the foot.
All right. AB, I see you have something to add to this particular conversation.
Yes, just a line. I recognize all the merits of this potential program, but I really wonder about the feelings of those who have been victims. Over the past 10 years, we've heard about how some of these terrorists will come to communities, burn, rape, pillage, and kill. So, how do I see the person who killed my father, my mom, whatever, and the person is now? I worry. That's all about some tensions being inbuilt. But like Joseph said, if it's done properly, then you must make the victims part of the stakeholders. You can't just lavish attention on those who were the, erstwhile terrorists and think that everybody else will be at peace with them.
All right. Keep your messages coming in. 08094440981 is the WhatsApp number. Ajayi Oloniloa in Magodo Jerry Sherry says, it's surprising that the Yobe State governor is coming up with this idea of reintegrating terrorists into the society, even as previous attempts to implement this program in Borno State has failed woefully. The focus should be to eradicate the scourge once and for all. All right. Thank you for sharing your perspective there, Ajayi. All right, AB, let's get back into the stories. The Vanguard is where we're headed to right now. Talking about education, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has threatened legal action against institutions found to be engaging in deceptive practices within the student loan scheme. Now, the threat is coming on the heels of recent findings that some institutions, after receiving student loan disbursements directly into their accounts, fail to notify the affected students or reflect the payments in their school fee records. Now, some institutions were even found to have failed to inform students of loan disbursements made on their behalf while still demanding payment of institutional fees from the same students. Now, my issue here is, NELFund threatening legal action. I mean, isn't this enough of a basis to actually put legal action into play? I mean, threatening, what does that even do?
Thank you. That's exactly how I felt when I read the story. If these allegations are indeed true, fraud has already been committed. Maybe I'm jumping the gun calling it fraud. There are errors. Rather than threatening a legal action, ask for corrections to be made and make sure it's reflective, reflective of the actual situation. And when such corrections are not made, then you don't threaten, you take legal action. Because it would suggest that somebody is playing fast and loose with funds. I believe that giving loans to people while giving gifts to Nigerian politicians is a crime in and of itself. The money we waste on Nigerian politicians should actually go to the students, but that's a complete separate conversation. It also suggests to me that the way this is being done is deficient and ineffective. How could it be that my student account will be credited and I'm not made aware? How come there's no record that reflects the current state of play, no matter what? Listen, there is no situation where money enters my account and I don't get some kind of alert. So it should not be a situation where a student can be left in the dark and their student account is credited and they can now be exploited by some official who is trying to take advantage. So there is a deficiency, first of all, that has been identified in the process. And then second, now, I'm going to give room for the famous clerical errors, but there should be a limit. A clerical error should be immediately flagged and it should be correctable within 48 hours. And where that is not done, let's give it a week. Within a week, and where that is not done and updated forthwith, those involved should be correcting. I feel it's one of the laziest approaches to doing things right. Follow the procedures, give the room the grace I'm willing to give, and following that, if it's not done, the person is removed from the role because they are not competent. And if they are seen to be actually being fraudulent, prosecute them. Don't threaten useless threats. Nobody cares about threats.
No,
Nobody.
so my take is simply that I think, just like Ibi said, I think the system is inefficient. I don't see why the NEL fund expects the institutions to be the one to notify the student that they've paid fees on their behalf. Why is it not designed in such a way that the alert or the payment simultaneously is received by the student and the institution? So the student has a record that a loan
Simple.
that he obtained. He's the one who is obtaining the loan. And he's going to pay the loan, for goodness sake. He's the one who is going to pay the loan. So I cannot take loan, and then when that loan is being spent on
I
my
just don't know what
behalf,
in.
I have no record of it. I have no record of it. So I should have a document that says this payment of the loan you borrowed, you're taking from us, this is what it is. If you like, all the loan certificate or whatever, you have it and you file it away. So if your university comes to you and says you have not paid your fees, you present the document to them. So why is it possible that you design a system where you're going to give loan to people and those people don't know when the money is disbursed to them? How?
Mm. These are
And the university, and between the universities or the institutions and NEL fund, how can that communication happen? How? How is that vacuum?
and of course you don't and of course you need to factor in the, should I say, the Nigerian experience. The institutions themselves playing fast and loose.
Yeah.
You just wonder when these sort of practices will end, from a Nigerian perspective, and allow us to develop and get to where it is that we need to be. It's just a sad
Oh,
state of affairs,
we have
really.
situations where individuals, organizations like this, and some individuals collect money and leave it in account in a fixed deposit account to accrue interest so that they can claim off the benefit, and then that and create chaos in the system just because they want to claim off the benefit from the fixed deposit money that has been sent. So I hope it's not the kind of thing they're doing. So they hold back the money. They use it to do their fixed deposit. Then they don't use it for what it's meant for 3 months. And then eventually when they get the bill, they now pay it.
Huh. We'll keep our eyes on this one, most definitely. All right, Joseph, let's talk about electricity matters, still staying in the vanguard here. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, that's NERC, has sanctioned 8 power distribution companies, aka the DISCOs, for non-compliance with the capping of estimated bills for unmetered customers. Now, a statement yesterday, NERC indicated that the affected DISCOs are Abuja, Eko, Enugu, Ikeja, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, and Yola. Uh, and they said the companies overbilled customers in violation of energy caps set by the regulator for the third quarter of 2024. That was July to September. We just spoke more or less about probable fraud, in that sector. And here we're talking about something similar in the electricity sector. We know the sort of things that happen with estimated billing. It's completely ridiculous. I know someone recently who had an issue with his meter. They took it away to repair, and he was put on estimated billing. And he said the first month they brought about 40 something thousand. Next month, about 200 and something thousand. It's ridiculous. But anyways, looking at this story, this is happening, Joseph.
Now the point is this: it's good, yeah. They've sanctioned discos, 8 discos, and so on and so forth. They're going to pay a fine. They're going to have to reimburse or give credits to those who they overbilled, by charging their account to crediting their account with the balance of whatever the overbilling they did to them in disobedience of NERC regulation or policy. But the critical question remains: why should we even have unmetered customers at all? And that question is to be answered by no one else than NERC itself. The NERC is the one who is supposed to provide meters for electricity consumers in the country. As it stands at the last record, we have over 7 million households that don't have meters. So we have approximately 14 million or 30 million consumer households, and because it's not individuals per se, it's households that are recorded in the system, and maybe up to 5 or 6 million of them have meters. What's happening to the rest of them? Why is it difficult? Why is it so much a rocket science for us to be able to manufacture meters, or even just adapt the technology and assemble or attract people who can produce these things in the country? So that's the question, and it's NEC that is responsible for it. That's responsible for it. So it is not even discharging its own responsibility of ensuring that people who are consuming electricity can actually pay for what they are consuming, right? So who is sanctioning NERC?
That's the big question.
Who is supervising it? Yeah, because it is not even doing its own work well, right? So at the end of the day, the consumer is the one who suffers all the inefficiencies in the system. All the inefficiencies of NERC, of the discos, of everybody. I mean, of course, the discos act with arrogance. They have no respect for customers. They don't treat you with any respect. All right. So for example, your meter is faulty. They can in Abuja, for example, they can just wake up and accuse you of tampering with your meter and slap a fine on you. If you're
and
not
it's a hefty fine.
Yes, and it's a hefty fine, 300,000 or thereabouts. Yeah. If you're not strong enough to challenge them and go to NRC, you'll be just punished unnecessarily and unfairly. So these are all the things. At the end of the day, it's like you're left until we can have real deregulation of this sector, where people are allowed to come in. And this is why I blame states. State governments are now able to, by the law, to be able to operate and begin to generate electricity. We should see states of a number of states forming consortiums to be able to generate electricity and distribute. So what is stopping that kind of attraction of investments into the sector, so that it's not just these discos? If I have a company that's efficient, like what's happening in Abia, that can give me electricity, I better go to them and pay my bills and get my electricity. Here, for example, in Abuja, they say that they are supplying electricity, and the voltage is so low that it can't power anything. It cannot even charge your inverter if you have an inverter. So it's funny. It's a very, very terrible system.
AB, we have a couple of seconds. You just want to say something about this particular issue?
Well, the thing is that this electricity story is
Wow, AB's
AB's connection this morning, has been fluctuating like Nigeria's power supply. But hey, it tends to happen sometimes. Let me take messages as we run up on the conversation this morning. JP says, Smooth, God bless you. Eluni is not credited directly by the school. How about we make the simplest things complex to gain in chaos? Cheers. Thank you, JP. Let me see here.
Coming back
Tony,
with electricity was invented maybe or discovered in the 18th century, and we are still here talking about these.
Oh my.
Tony Marimbi says, is it any wonder that over time there's zero activities of terrorism during elections? Where do the perpetrators go to hide? Does this look more like some mercenaries going to get a job under the protection and sponsorship of certain highly placed individuals who require their services occasionally? Trust me, if the government of the day can put politics and self-interest aside, insecurity will become a thing of the past. All right. Vincent says, why is the government wasting our money to rehabilitate terrorists when they can put it in education? We have prisons, correctional centers, And the terrorists should pay the price for the offenses committed, which I believe should be capital punishment. But hey, you can send them to prison. Oluwaseyi says, you're all surprised the system for Nelfund is either efficient or mostly corrupt. I think you mean inefficient.
Efficient, yeah.
Nah, I'm not. It's just that Nigerian system used to give any new program at least a year or two before they corrupted. Too bad. This one has started right off the bat. Barrister Danukuda says the army de-radicalization policy has been marred with so much controversy. I believe the policy should be scrapped. And Gilbert Musa, who is in Festac, says on the delay in payment of student loans for those students qualified to receive such monies, it is obvious we have not learned from past experiences of the national industrial attachment schemes where monies for IT students were delayed with grapevine of such monies lodged in fixed deposits accounts. This practice was seen in the 90s. I don't think I got my money when I did my sewers. I really don't recall if I did. And that was a bit of a while ago. Joseph Menye says, how exactly will the fine be refunded to the consumers? NERC should sincerely deal with the discourse because they've actually turned themselves into mini gods. They treat consumers anyhow, exploit and fleece them. None of the bands are having the exact allocated power supply to their bands. That is true. Even Band A needs serious bandage right now. Ibrahim Zakari says the only reason people or institutions misbehave, such as reported by Nelfund against some universities, is impunity. If naming them and shaming them is done, I think sanity will prevail. I think naming them, shaming them, and of course, making sure they face the full wrath of the law.
Those who are committing crimes, yeah.
They all go hand in hand. Anyways, we need to call it a morning. Thank you so much for all the messages. And a big thank you to you, Joseph, and AB for joining us this morning. AB, I just hope that your network issues allow you to get through your day, more or less.
Yeah, so all the best, Ayo, and the listeners. It's been great. AB, you need to settle your ancestors. I'm sure they
it is in Lagos.
All right, gentlemen. Have yourselves a great Friday and a great weekend ahead.
Same to you. Bye.
All right, and thank you all for being a part of the show.
Weekend.
All right, AB. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. It's all about sporting action on the in the locker room. I almost said grapevine at 8:15. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. All the best.
Nigerian networks can.
It can be frustrating sometimes.
Oh well, it's all good. We got there in the end. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.